Thais has brought her barbell or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
The meeting of November 12th, I'm sorry, not November 12th, that's the date of the town meeting. The meeting of October 17th is hereby called to order. I'll take a roll call. Ken Fitzgerald.
Here.
Rob Garrity.
Here.
Thais Hickman.
Here.
Mike G.
Here.
David Lutz here. We have a quorum. We have one sort of outstanding item to hear from Justin on, and then we're gonna, it's mostly the transfers and the capital items. We have a number of departments here to ask specifics about the capital items. I did send out some information on the school request today. They are not able to attend. And then we'll go through the warrant item by item and vote on our positions on those. We'll assign write-ups for our positions and the warrant that's mailed. And then we'll vote on minutes. So to kick it off, I'll turn it over to Justin Casanova Davis.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, good to see you all again. Based on the last meeting that we had, if you remember, we did not present this officially to the select board just yet. Last Tuesday, we did present the transfers as well as the capital list to the select board, and they sort of gave us our blessing. The capital that I presented to you last week hasn't changed, so nothing's changed there. And the only thing that changed on the transfers sheet is the assessor's 5-year recertification. It was originally $50,000, but once they did the bid, it was actually $51,800. So $1,800 difference, but I really don't have anything much different to say because our capital is exactly what I said it would be last week.
Okay. So we have, I have a couple questions or an explanation of, on the transfers themselves. And I think some other folks have questions. The school, the state aid transfer, what is that?
In the state's budget, there was some excess or some additional funds that were allocated in the fiscal year 25 state budget, and particularly the Chapter 70 funds.
Okay.
And so that's the net increase of Chapter 70 funds to the town.
Which we received but did not appropriate in
Correct.
May. Okay.
Correct. So we had a lower figure in May when we did the budget. The select board and school committee met, and they asked for those additional funds, and of course, we would give them those additional funds.
Okay, and I'm going to offer clarification. In the memo that we got from the schools, they had referenced the ELA curriculum improvements as a capital item. It's actually in the transfers, and it's coming out of free cash, essentially. So it's not a capital item. It's an operating item in this case.
Just a quick background on that one,
Yeah.
because I know this question's been asked a couple of times. So typically, the ELA curriculum, or curriculum in general, has been funded in the operating budget of Norfolk Public Schools. Obviously, we know that, they've had some sort of budgetary constraints and so forth, and there's been tight budgets. So last year, they said they could not afford to do the ELA curriculum with the allocation of funds. So this is sort of a one-time sort of additional appropriation. And so they say it's capital. It's coming from the same spot, but we put it in the transfers section
Sure.
because it's capital for us.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know, is this all of it then?
Yeah, the 150,000 was funded before. This is the
Right.
remaining part of the ELA.
Okay, because, right, we paid some of it already.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
But this is the rest?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
So they will be compliant with the new
Right.
curriculum
Right.
after this is suspended. Article 3 is the borrowing for the ladder truck. We have the chief here. I don't know if you want to make any statement, chief, to start off with, and then answer some questions.
All right. Yes, I can give a little bit of background. So we were able to write a grant with a regional grant. Both Chief Marino and myself obviously are aware of, or both have tightening purse strings. We're seeing a greater demand for service and, dealing with that. and trying to make things, fit within our service delivery model, and also allowing us to be fiscally responsible. So we partnered on this. We were awarded the highest award that is awarded by FEMA, $1 million towards the purchase of a aerial quint. I do not have a specific hard build sheet yet, because the methodology we want to use for procurement is to try to buy or acquire a stock unit. We have been working with a couple of manufacturers, really intently with Pierce Manufacturing, or Allegiant, who works with Sourcewell and HGAC, so that we're compliant with FEMA on our procurement, and also state by using those avenues. And we are working closely with the manufacturer and sales reps so that we can hopefully get a stock unit that doesn't have a 4-year turnaround time. The issues that we're seeing now with procurement of apparatus is very, very long lead times. Now all of the OEM manufacturers are starting to put escalator clauses in their contracts, some as high as 5% per year. So for instance, with a vehicle that costs $2 million, if you had to wait 4 years and you did 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, you're paying a lot more than $2 million. So we're trying to take advantage of that. Another reason we're trying to take advantage of and use the stock program is there are modifications to the emission requirements. So the cost of motors is going to go up between $50,000 and $100,000 per unit. So it's guaranteed to be 50, but there's already engineering alterations that all the manufacturers are having to make in order to have these motors fit within their chassis. So that has kind of motivated us to kind of look at the route of doing the stock unit, because it insulates and kind of protects us from the escalator clauses, because once we sign a contract, we're looking at a 6 to 8 month window before the truck is built and delivered. The one drawback to that is we can't do a lot of customization. Whatever we receive, or whatever we, in researching the different specifications or the options that may be available, we're doing our due diligence now to make sure that there are going to be options that provide the level of service that we desire to both towns. So I realize that the 2.5 number that has been put out there, all in, is it is a high number. I did speak with 4 manufacturers today. So our estimate range is accurate. 2 to 2.5 million is what everybody said. And if we ordered one today, brand new and had the wait or lead time, it'd be 2027, 2028 before we saw it, and we would not be protected from the escalator clauses that are, being built into these contracts now. So we've aggressively went after and are looking at getting a stock unit. We know, we've worked with manufacturers, so we know when vehicles are being released. We stay on top of it. It's usually within the first week of each month, there's a few units added to the stock list for the different manufacturers. And believe me, the second that day one comes, I'm on there looking, and making sure we have, we're looking at options that are available to us and that can meet the service needs of the town. The other piece of this is that number that I put in there for the estimate is all in. That is including new equipment. So I'm not coming back to the town to ask for more capital requests to do new saws and things like that, usually
equipment that is normally part of a truck?
Yes.
A fully equipped truck?
Yes. So there are going to be some things that we transfer over, right? Because in capital a couple years ago, we got some brand new fans and things like that. So those newer items like that, we're not going to buy new fans because we don't need to. But, we have very old chainsaws, for example. Our vent saws are very tired. I did not put them in capital this year because I anticipated getting new ones with the purchase of this truck. So that 2.5 number does have a $150 to $250 or $200,000 allowance for outfitting a truck, with the radios, for example. The portable radio system alone is, probably going to be, by the time it's done with the headsets and the radios and the wiring and all that, it's probably, $8,000 roughly. That's just one example of some of the things that go into finishing the build out. The truck bare bones by itself will be about 2.1, 2.3 million.
All right. And if we authorize this on November 12th, you say going out, do you have to go through, is this procurement process or?
So we don't have to do
all these guys
that
are on a
was
state
the,
contract or?
So the reason that I brought up the Sourcewell and HGAC is because those are both approved procurement pre-bid options for us. So we have already verified through all of the manufacturers that they are on those lists and that we're able to use those pre-bid contracts, if you will.
Yep. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes, I have one question. So the grant from FEMA, receive those funds, or will you receive them post-purchase?
So
buy the vehicle first?
the way that will work is we have to sign a contract first. We don't have to. It's not a reimbursement. In other words, once we sign a contract and we have a firm number, then I will go through the process of, submitting for having those funds to be released, and they will be released to us, and then we'll pay for the vehicle as it comes. One of the things that we are working or talking to the manufacturers about too is the last two apparatus purchases, and every apparatus purchase that I've done in my fire service career, I've tried to get the early chassis payment discount, if you will. So with the way the state procurement law is here, we can't pay for it up front and get a huge kickback because we have to have something to
Don't
show
use the
for
word
funds.
kickback.
Not kickback, but incentive, I guess is what they call it. It's a discount.
Yeah, sure. No, I
it's a
understand.
discount.
It's an early purchase.
Pay discount.
It's an early pay discount, right. But what we have been able to do is once the chassis is built, we're able to do that because there is something to show for the funds. So we are able to get the prepayment or early payment discount on that. So we're trying to make sure that we have that available to us and we structure it that way to save us some money. And like I said, I'm anticipating and speaking with manufacturers today, that we're going to come in below that 2.5 number. That was put into play basically because I couldn't give a firm number knowing that we were going with a stock truck and knowing that if we'd have went the fully custom route from ground up, we were looking at 4 years and we weren't, we were going to be exposed to escalator clauses, which the way some of them are worded, if you sign the contract and you get to that point in the escalator clause and you decide not to, you're still on the hook for, I think, 30% of the overall cost, which is that's not good for us at all. So I wanted to try to avoid that at all costs if we could. So I think using the stock program, and the stock vehicles is the way to go. I did actually look at a vehicle just, for full transparency that was coming in less at an estimate, but after doing more market research, but also doing some more due diligence with the manufacturer, I discovered that the annual maintenance costs on that particular Quint or vehicle were significantly higher. So over the life of the truck, it would end up costing us more to own it. And there was a higher learning curve or a higher training requirement, which when you're having a truck that's a regional asset, you don't want there to be a huge training curve or people to have to constantly train on it to stay proficient. And that was the feedback that I got with one of the options that was on the table, is that it requires a pretty consistent, heavily regimented training to make sure that, the operation of the device is done safely. And I just, from that standpoint, talking with Chief Marino, talking with my personnel and Deputy Chief Kelly, it just, while on the surface it looked like a great option, it really isn't the right move or the right move for us as a town, or really for Rentham either, hosting a regional resource that way.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Ken?
Where is the truck going to be housed?
The truck is going to be housed here in Norfolk at our station.
So, what's our current staffing level, Chief? The normal 24-hour shift, how many firefighters?
4.
So, and this will be first due to any automatic fire alarm, any normal call in Rentham also?
Yeah, it will run to line boxes no different than what we do now to Rentham. The difference will be that we're responding in the ladder or the new Quint as opposed to being in an engine.
How many of the 4 will respond in this if, say, there's a fire alarm at the Rentham outlets?
No different than what it is now. All 4 go.
So, we're housing the apparatus in exchange for splitting the cost, but every fire call in Rentham, we're taking all fire and EMS protection out of Norfolk every time.
Which we currently do now. If we respond to Rentham right now, the entire shift goes. So there's really no difference in the response model except for what vehicle we're getting in to go support them. And it's the same for them. The one caveat being that in the way we have discussed the service and the modeling of it is Rentham, when they are available or have an extra person available there, we'll send a operator or a firefighter along with us to make sure that vehicle can get to whatever incident it needs to get to in the event that we're not here or we're out. So from a response model point of view, really nothing really changes except for the fact that we're, instead of getting in an engine and going to Rentham, we're getting in the ladder truck to go to Rentham. A ladder truck that they paid for half of. So that's the kind of the exchange.
If I understand Ken's question correctly, though, is that before we bought the ladder truck, if there was a fire at the Rentham outlet, they would respond first, right?
Well, we still go on the first alarm assignment to Rentham outlet.
First alarm, but I'm saying like a fire alarm call, is that the fire alarm goes off in a building somewhere in Rentham, Rentham's engine goes, are we automatically dispatched to the ladder?
Only on the, not every single fire alarm, only on what you would call high hazards, which are ones we go to anyway. So line boxes, so like the high school, the outlets.
No, I'm familiar with high hazard,
Yeah,
not a problem.
yeah.
What about the maintenance program? Is there an intermunicipal agreement to split the maintenance costs?
Yes, maintenance costs will be split down the middle.
Is it going to be NFPA compliant?
It is. We already have had discussions with Foxborough's fleet maintenance, who currently does actually both of our fleets now. So Foxborough, along with our maintenance division, does any major repairs that require NFPA, an EVT to perform it.
No, I'm familiar with the program.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I had a lot of concerns with the 2.55 million because I have many friends in your position who have all ordered the exact same stock things in the past few months, and 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 are the numbers, today's numbers going out. And I know the escalation, I know the option with the diesel motor, I know the 2027 issue with the motors and the emissions that's going to be really expensive on a custom truck. So I said 2.55 million is a custom truck, and the devil's in the details. I knew if it wasn't the truck, there was going to be a lot of equipment. So what's happening? What's the process to get rid of the Rentham's and our ladder truck? Where's that going?
So our ladder will be, it has to be gotten rid of based on the grant. That it has to be, basically it's just going to be gotten rid of. Rentham will keep their ladder so that there is a reserve in the event that, these things need maintenance, right? So we will never, or the goal is to never be without access to an aerial ladder device. So
the grant will let that happen. They don't.
Yes.
They're okay with one.
They only require the
One to get rid of.
the hosting agency to get rid of theirs. So they're able to keep. We're the hosting agency, so we have to get rid of ours, and ours is older.
Is there any trade-in value for ours, or?
Minimal. I've actually done some. I have a couple of companies that want it or that would be willing to take it, but it's not like we're getting it like $10,000 to $15,000. I may work to negotiate that a little bit higher, but because of its age, the company, for instance, that took our engine 2 on trade, when I put it to them, sent them pictures like, yep, we don't want it, we won't touch it with a 20-foot pole, it's too old.
Are there any state grants that we're eligible for based on like the new emission standards or anything like that, that we can help offset costs with?
None that I'm aware of outside of, possibly there being earmarks, but a lot of times we run into the way the grants are structured. If you're using grant money for another portion of it, I won't be able to use another grant for the actual procurement of the vehicle. Now, what I am working on and continually work on is searching out and looking for grants to do the equipment part, because that's separate. I can put that as a separate piece. I actually finished submitting information earlier today to GovFunds, which is a program that we're a part of, a pilot program that gives us a huge network of different grants that may be available to us for, equipment and things like that. So that has been submitted. The first grant that I did submit, we were unfortunately denied. That was by the Leary Foundation. Unfortunately, I think their evaluation came on the heels of when the $1 million grant was announced. So I think we didn't get looked at favorably because we had just gotten a $1 million grant, and they were like, well, you just got a $1 million grant. We're not giving you, $50,000 for equipment. So, but I have re-upped and applied for, I think it's 5 more that are in the queue right now.
Can I have a follow-up on that, though? The emission standard requirement, is that a state emission standard requirement?
That's federal.
It's a diesel requirement?
Yes. They're actually basically if you're familiar with diesels, they have the diesel exhaust filter system. They're basically stacking 2 of those now. So in all of the builds of the chassis, they have to make provision to basically double the amount of filters and canisters that are in the system.
You indicated, though, that you think if you applied for a state assistance, it might run afoul of the federal grant requirements?
I'm not.
There might be, maybe not this year, but
Right.
I work for the agency that runs a lot of the government, all of the public entity grant programs on energy stuff, so it might be.
No, if there's.
Might be coming along, I don't know.
We've always, just say with Chief, we've always looked at grants. We've been very successful at grants, so we're going to look at every opportunity to minimize the cost on this.
Cool, thanks. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Mike.
Where's Rentham at on this? Are they going at it the same way, or what?
Yes, Rentham is looking, in their, I think it's Article 4 in their upcoming fall town meeting is for the same number, same everything funding that we're looking to do. We obviously, Chief Marino and I had to communicate a lot over the course of doing this, and we actually communicated with Franklin. I actually have a copy of their specifications. I know one of the members there alluded to there's other towns that have, so we're getting our goal is to get almost identical. It makes sense for us to have, similar with the ability for all of us to operate together. And theirs, they ordered before price increases, which they were lucky. They ordered theirs on February of 2023, right before March price increases. Price increase. But in speaking to their chief, I wanted to back up because I wanted to make sure I wasn't overestimating, if you will. Like for theirs, even though they were able to order theirs before significantly, a longer period of time before ours, when they're all said and done with theirs, they're going to be in about $2 million range. The truck itself, 1.8 to 1.9, and then equipping it, they're going to be up over $2 million. This is something that, industry-wise, I don't see it stopping, unfortunately. These prices just keep going up and up and up. This exact same truck, most of you weren't on advisory, but then this exact same truck in 2020 was $1.6 million.
Okay. Cool. Any more questions on Article 3?
A money technical question.
Sure.
So, might be more for Justin. If something goes awry in Rentham, this doesn't pass over there, we have 1.75 million, plus a trade-in, plus whatever else. You're close on a stock truck at that amount. Is there a path forward for just Norfolk if Rentham, in fact, because I heard there was scuttlebutt that Rentham had some concerns, there were some challenges at the select board, so fails Rentham town meeting by some chance, what's our contingency here?
So my contingency is I have other smaller non-tower apparatus that will fit in that 1.7 range. It won't be a tower anymore, won't be a mid-mount anymore. But I have a contingency because if that happens, we still don't want to we don't want to give up $1 million grant.
Right.
So there is a path
Give it out
forward
again.
with contingencies. I have different manufacturers, but still very reputable, just it's a totally different truck, but we can navigate through that. It's also written within the MOU that if something was to go awry during the course of the contract or the course of ownership with this, that FEMA wants to see language in there that basically allows them to come into play, and they will have a mediator or arbitrator be a part of whatever the solution is, to make sure it's fair and equitable to both sides. So that was important language we had to have, even just to submit for the grant. So that is in place.
Thank you.
And just quickly add on it, because I think you guys are wrapping up there. Ken, in response to your question, we'd also, once discuss that, we would go before the select board and sort of talk through it. We wouldn't want to give up that $1 million grant, obviously, if we can mitigate any costs on, residents here, so, but we would have a conversation after with the board.
So, real quick, Article 4 is, I think, 15 smaller requests for capital out of other sources, basically free cash. While the chief is sitting there, I just have a quick question. Justin mentioned this at the last meeting. What is lithium-ion battery mitigation for the fire department?
So for us, that means, for us, I'm sure you've all heard, it's like a buzz thing going around with the e-bikes and the different type of batteries and overcharging and whatever. So we've actually had a few incidents in town with computers with lithium-ion batteries that have caused fires. So the lithium-ion battery mitigation, it's primarily for us aimed at vehicles, but I also included in that. So there's some material called Cell Block EX, which is it comes in a big bag basically, but it almost looks kind of like the oil dryer or things we use now, but it's a Class D extinguishing agent.
So this is for your responses? It's
This
not,
is for
it's
responses.
not for internal to the building?
No, this
or
is
like
for
the batteries that are in your radios?
This
or
is for
anything like that?
responding
Okay, all right.
to...
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So if anyone has any specific questions on the list, I have a couple, and I also did, as I mentioned, I sent around the school's response on their items here. The two items that are Norfolk schools, the HOD boiler and the Freeman Kennedy water heater, weren't on that list, but they're facilities responsibility for the shared facilities folks. And I did ask Blair Blair wasn't able to attend. I asked him some questions about the dam and dike mitigation, if anyone has any specific questions on that. But if anyone has any questions for Justin on the Capitol, I don't know if you want to run back through it, Justin, or anything like that, but
I defer to you guys if you want me to run through or just open up to questions, I guess.
Just a question on the ADA compliance. What exactly does that entail?
Good question, because I actually talked about that with Matt Malnards, who's our facilities director right here.
oh, geez, I didn't see, you snuck, you were hiding behind the, that's fine. I didn't see you over there.
Thank you, Chief. So, the town did a study, I think, 2021 on ADA sort of issues within town, and so there's a litany of projects in town with DPW as well as our town and school facilities. the costs are over $1 million of ADA work that we need to do. And for us, we just wanted to put some Matt, you want to speak, you can speak to it, and I'll add to it further.
Yeah, so it's basically going to go towards like smaller projects for now, but one concern over at the library is the ramp that goes up to the doors. For that length, the slope is too steep, so there's supposed to be like 3 landings on that and railings. So some of this money would go towards design fees for that.
Okay.
And then, like, we have stuff like fixing thresholds throughout town. They're too high. Installing railings on some stairways outdoors. Emergency exit signs, some are missing, some aren't the right types. And other stuff like repairing concrete stairs or walkways, like the smaller stuff, just patching, filling in cracks, stuff like that.
Are we out of compliance with the state guidelines right now? Or,
Yeah, for all the buildings, yes. Even the brand-new police station, they marked up a bunch of stuff when that was built.
Just so we're clear on that, because you hate hearing that, but I wouldn't say that's out of the norm for municipal governments either. But it's still not acceptable. That's why, for us, when I was talking with Matt, if you look at the capital looking out for, it's millions of dollars, right, that you would do in work. So we want to at least start the process. We've done work within our operating budgets for some of this stuff, but we also want to just make the upfront investment in capital as well. So.
Cool. Anyone else? I have a couple questions. The vehicle purchase for 219, how many vehicles is that for the police?
3.
Oh, there he is. Got this big black TV in front of me. I can't see in it. What are we buying?
We're looking to replace 3 vehicles. 2 of them are going to be patrol vehicles, and the third will be a admin/detective or unmarked vehicle.
Okay.
All 3 currently have over 100,000 miles. One's almost at 130,000 miles. Industry standard's about 5 years and 95,000 miles, because you start now dealing with maintenance issues on them, and just because of the use of the vehicles themselves.
Okay. Anyone follow up on that? What happens to the vehicles the old vehicles?
We typically repurpose them throughout the town, so the DPW takes.
I have a follow-up on that. We're a green community.
Yeah, that's my follow-up.
And we're not supposed to be repurposing vehicles that don't meet standards. Are we still in compliance with that, as far as you know?
I think as we talk about this moving forward, for example, we were applying for the Green Community Grant. We're looking at electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. I think we're looking at, so for the town building, particularly like the building department facilities, we're looking at trying to look at electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles.
Sure.
I think we're going to transition away from the repurposing of the older vehicles.
I think you kind of have to.
Yeah.
All right.
You trade them in, though, there's a decent trade-in value for, so, not a ton, but.
I know people who drive those, yeah. They like the suspension, even if it's 140,000
Are these all
miles.
Ford Explorers you get rid of?
Yes.
Yes, they're all Ford Explorers, they're all V6, they all fit for green communities, so.
Anyone else have any questions on this list?
Yeah, Dave.
Rob.
Okay,
sorry.
so this is off topic. What's with the monochromatic paint now on police vehicles?
So it's just more of a tactical, a little bit more, so they're a little subdued, so.
Subdued. So first of all, I mean, you got lights and things coming off, so it's not exactly like you're undercover. Second,
You're off topic, Rob, but whatever. Go ahead.
It's $1,800 to paint a car black and white, $1,800 for a crummy Mako paint job. And the graphics still cost just as much to apply after the paint, so they're $1,800 cheaper each.
how about you paint the car black and the graphics are a different color?
So the ones that you're probably seeing, we do have a traffic vehicle that is more subdued than the rest of the.
Yeah, you can't really read Norfolk Police on it, right? Or am I thinking of another
they're trying
town?
to sneak up on people. I think that's the chief's point.
headlights hit it, it becomes bright white. But during the day, it's hard to
It's
see.
reflective on headlights.
But if they painted the car black and white, $1,800 for that paint, and
Norfolk
then
used to
apply
have
the decals
all
for
white
$1,000.
cars. You know, they were quite sharp, Chief, weren't they?
That's a different topic, I think. So, yeah.
I think then we're all set on Article 4. We have some other folks here, and our next step essentially is to run through
Thanks, Chief.
the warrant and vote on stuff. I think I'd like to, if I could, take Article 5 out of order, which is the recommendations for Southwood. If that's
Do that
okay.
now, you said? Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to talk about it while we've got a team here who wants to talk on it, and I don't want them to have to wait for us to take a few votes, which we'll end up doing anyways. So we had a presentation last week. Was it only last week? I've lost all track of time this month. So we had a presentation last week on the planning board's proposed changes to the zoning for the Southwood area. We had a specific question on the auto transfer, freight auto transfer zoning designation. Rich and I have talked a little bit this week. I don't know if you want to directly address it, Rich, or have me explain it poorly. It is something that I think took us, I think once it came up, it was a little bit of a surprise to us. So we're just curious. And if there's folks from the GFI that have an interest in addressing this after Rich is done, that would be great.
Yes, the discussion was the auto freight, which we talked about last week, which we don't define. Week. Business that has automobiles or vehicles on site. They move from one location to another. There is it is allowed by special permit in the C1B, which is Shire area.
Yeah.
Discussions with, at least GFI partners, if there was, particular concern having it by right, if there was you wanted to consider making a friendly amendment to make it special permit to be consistent with the other one. There was no objection to them. It wasn't as if it was just adding some uses and making them by right. There isn't any particular.
It was a list that you added.
Yeah, there was a list. Yep.
Go ahead.
All right, so I'm having a senior moment because
But you're not a senior.
I think one of the older versions of the proposal had it in as a no.
Well, yes, so just to
So it
clarify.
switched to a yes
Yes.
during the process. So when we got the first version, it's in here as a no. And then later it became a yes?
So you probably, that version might have been before the hearing. Yeah.
So it came in later, which is really, that's a malice of forethought issue, I mean, someone thought about this.
Yeah.
There's a reason this is in here.
Yes, yes.
And
It's not a scribe motive, Rob.
I was being sarcastic.
I understand.
No, there's no intent to, but there is an intent to put an auto freight facility here.
Well, at least have it as an option, yes.
Well, but it came in, So it's someone thought of this and said, well, okay, someone's interested in this. And the thing that just is always frustrating, and you never get, a developer presentation that has a car warehouse on it, or a site warehousing vehicles. You get the presentation that has nice square buildings with glass fronts, because that's what we all like to see. But, maybe on this site, we don't want housing for vehicles in a backyard with, a chain link fence with little, the plastic slats in it, because I know it has to be shielded. That's why I raised it. I'm not going to vote against it for that reason.
Would making it a special permit give you some comfort, like it is for the
C1B.
C1B? It means the board still has to, they can
Yeah, no, they
sign
condition
off
it.
on
and-
specifics.
yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
How do we do that, an amendment?
We'd have to do it at town meeting.
Yeah, I don't think this is worth it.
Well, we can vote on it and then continue talking about it. I mean, not for nothing, but I'm going to ask Justin if he's all set on all his things, because last year we had a bunch of changes at capital items like on the floor, so I had to change my presentation last year for a couple things that changed numbers-wise, or maybe it was in the spring, but, Chad, do you have a specific?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. You would like us to do that as a, friendly amendment, but it'd be nice to know that sooner than later, so we can just make sure everybody's planned for it prior to town meeting.
No, I understand.
So everybody's in alignment.
Yeah,
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
We are voting on this. This is part of this discussion now. So if anyone has any further questions on this or any other topic related to this, if not, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve Article 5, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Is it?
You can, if you say as written, it means we would have offline discussions about a potential. Either way, I think we have to do it as written.
Yeah, right, we're doing it as written anyway, right? Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor of Article 5, say aye.
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 Opposed? It's approved. Thank you, gentlemen. I think we do want to have maybe a follow-up phone call or something like that.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, cool. With the team. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
These for the other two?
While you're sitting there, why don't we do those ones too? And then we just make Justin wait around for the rest of the night. I'm sorry, were you here on that article? I'm sorry.
I'm the vice chair of the planning board.
Thank you. I was told you were attending. I've never met you, so I apologize. That go okay for you? All right. You've got the changes to the accessory building, special permits, 1, 2, and 3, and the creation of the, which are all related. So 10, 11, and 12 are essentially related. And then you've got the half story and a half thing.
Yes.
Does anyone have a question? We had a presentation from Rich on these. Does anyone have any further questions on these?
This is all about coming into compliance with the new state law, right? Is that, no?
No.
No, it's not.
No,
Okay.
that'll be in the spring.
That's the spring, okay, right.
Yep,
I'm just-
that's coming.
Yeah, that's the,
I just heard it on the radio a couple days ago, okay.
Wait, which?
The
ADUs.
accessory
Right.
dwelling.
Oh,
units.
okay, all right, all right.
That's a different thing, okay, good.
Yeah, that's different. It'll be spring.
I thought I understood this, then I heard the radio article, the thing.
Yeah,
okay.
mandatory.
All right.
Mandatory, not everywhere, but in certain areas, right? All residential.
what?
In any resident.
In all Rs.
Yeah.
Yeah, throughout the state.
So Fonzie housing is happening.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Would you call it Fonzie?
That's Fonzie.
I understand.
Fonz lived over a garage.
Yes, right, yeah,
Rob. Just see, that was a reach, man.
That's what we used to, that's what we called it jokingly when
One of the guys who lived above the garage.
I was
Yeah,
working,
okay.
on this issue in
And
state
similar to
government.
Fonzie, you don't have to be a familial anymore either.
Yeah.
He was essentially Marion's other son, so
Well, I mean, technically, it was.
Mrs. C's other son.
Okay.
So we got Article 10. We'll do these. Did Justin leave me forever?
No.
Okay, all right. Why don't we
Took his chance to escape.
act on these? Article 10 for a motion, changes to accessory building special permits, 1. Motion to approve.
I will
Motion.
move to approve as written in the materials.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll give the second to Ken on that one. All right. Article 11, changes to accessory buildings, special permits 2. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I'll give that one to Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Article 12, changes to accessory buildings, special permit 3. I need a motion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one is approved. And then the last one is creation of a definition for a story and a half story, which I have a hard time spitting out, but a story and a half story. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Rob, do you have questions before we vote on this?
So, if Mike's going to write this one up, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
You have made me write up zoning ones in the past,
I haven't made you, you volunteered.
and I still don't understand this one. I know it sounds really stupid that I don't understand it. It seems to be very simple.
And it's because we don't have a definition in our zoning rules now, and there are these that exist in town, so essentially they're out of compliance.
Well, in our zoning bylaw, we have height, and we also have story, so 2.5.
But we don't have a
story.
half story.
But we don't define what a half.
But we don't really define, I think that's Rob's point, is that definitionally, a half story is a hard thing to define. Because it's not 50% of a full story's floor space, because some of these are 75%, some of them are like a little room that shoots up over your.
No, this one has to be 50%.
This one's 50% or less.
50% floor space,
Floor space.
meaning we're going to move in, because we're going to be, what's that term?
Eaves.
Eaves
are,
or, you know,
Vaulted. Vaulted ceilings, so you got your knee walls. Your knee walls
Knee
are coming
walls,
in.
there you
Knee
go.
walls are coming in, you got vaulted ceilings, yes.
So the potential floor is there, not being used. So,
So you put little.
hold on. So now we're on the inside of a house, which is not zoning. You can't zone the inside of a house. Under zoning law, you can't zone the inside of a house. That's something I remember from being on the zoning board for 9 years. We can't zone the inside. So what you're doing is saying I have a stupid raised ranch, right? With a normal roof.
Yep.
If I put in some knee wall,
Yep.
I can have another story.
Yeah, if the roof joists weren't all in the, but yes, I got
If
you.
I was very short and didn't mind.
I think you have to have minimum.
Actually, right now, under existing zoning, I can't have another story up there. I can have an attic.
Right.
But under this, I'd be allowed to put in knee walls, as long as I make this thing, I'm like, 1,000 square feet, so it has to be 500 square feet.
But still have to go through, I mean, you'd have to get it permitted, you're gonna have to have egress points, I mean,
Right, so
that's not, we're not defining any of that. I mean,
someone's gonna be crawling around my attic to measure.
So it becomes an issue for the building inspector to
Yeah.
But it's real, and
define what he's going to allow.
right, but it also becomes a function of the elevation, where the house is in relation to the house, So like where I mentioned, this has come up, it was on River Road, which essentially the lot is flat, and they put a plan before, which would have been 3 stories. And so in the building permit process, it was like, that's 3 stories, it's not. It was 3 stories, it wasn't 2.5 because of it was under the height, but it was 3 stories.
So it was 38 feet or whatever that zone is,
Yeah, it was
35,
under
38.
that. But it wasn't 2.5 stories, it was 3 stories. So the option was to either, seek a variance to be 2.5 stories or modify the design of the house, which they chose to do.
So
They chose to make it a half story.
But
So in other
again,
words,
how
but
is
if-
that a zoning issue and not a building?
because they approved the outside, they approved the 3 floors, but they didn't approve how you design the 3 floors. Or they don't approve the 3 floors because we only allowed 2 for residential. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it was,
So they're allowing for that to be approved next time.
Okay.
Because they can't approve a 3rd story, but they can approve a
half story.
half
2.5.
story.
Yeah, half story.
They're not allowed to approve the 3rd story.
Yeah, I know.
I have the half. I like this. This is a great article. I want this. I have the finishable half knee wall, whatever. It's huge. Well, or maybe it's not.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's only 50.
Oh, only 50, of course, yeah.
Why is it any of our business? I can understand why it's our business. I can't build a 44-foot high house. Why do I care if my neighbor who has a 38-foot high house has 2 floors or 3 floors? Why? What health, safety, what are the 4 things we're supposed to zone on and nothing
safety.
else? You know, there's no health, safety impact of him having 3 floors versus 2.
I think the egress issue is a legitimate safety.
Not with a 100-foot tower truck.
Then you handle the egress issue through you have to have 2 stairs up to your 3rd floor. That seems to me simple enough. So I'm going to vote no on this because I think it's none of our business.
Okay.
This is another one of these zoning rules, which is none of our stupid business.
So if I do write this up, so I'm going to have to include your.
I'll write it
No,
up.
you do not have to.
I can write it up. I can write it up even though I wrote no.
I knew you'd come around to it. Yeah.
This was not a unanimous
So it's just
vote.
not unanimous. I got you.
Okay.
So I would like a motion on this
There's
article.
nothing else to
It's been
fight about
moved
on
and
this
seconded.
warrant.
Wait, I have another question.
Oh, Thais has another question.
How often has this come up? I mean, what was the impetus behind this? Is this?
No, it was literally, as I mentioned, there was a house that
But they could not approve.
they couldn't approve that was on River Road.
Was the house too tall? The house itself too tall?
was-
No.
No.
No, it can't be too tall.
Well, it wasn't
it was
too
not
tall, it was under 35
Yeah.
feet, but it was three.
They had 7.5 foot ceilings, so they only needed.
Stories.
But don't we also have a call out for the B1 of 2.5 stories in there as well?
Well, it's 3 there.
There's 3 in
Oh,
the
Three. There's no half anymore there.
Got it.
So with this language, we could have approved that house.
Right.
That's the, yeah.
That's my house.
No, actually.
It's not your house.
But no, but it's just, it's,
Yeah, it's your house.
it describes how they built my house.
So it's a solution in search of hopefully a problem, if I want to put it that
No,
way.
so in terms of the solution is that you define what a half story is, so they.
There was no definition for a
There's no
half story.
definition.
Now
So
there's-
because there was no
Wouldn't even ask for a
definition for a
half
half story,
Wouldn't
we
even
had to
ask
do
for
a
a half
definition for a story. There's no definition.
There really isn't, okay, never mind.
I know it has to appear in the bylaw to be a def.
Can I get a,
I motion to.
It's already been moved.
Oh, it's moved? It's
already been
moved?
moved.
I second.
okay.
I seconded
I
it.
third.
Thais is-
The
Thais
one that I
seconded.
second caused the most controversy.
yeah. Jeez, I shouldn't have had you. Can I, all in favor of the article as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. The vote is 4-1.
And this is going to come up so late at night that if I got up, someone would shoot me. So I'm not going to debate this thing either.
Oh, it won't. Jay can run the fall meeting in under an hour. We'll see how that goes, but I think we're fine with you guys. You've already told us you're fine with,
Also the roads.
the roads are fine. Blair told us the same thing. All right.
Yep.
Justin, you're back up if you want to come up. We're going to go through the
Thank
rest of
you.
the articles.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you. I'm sorry that I didn't acknowledge you until after I
I won't
figured.
remind you about the Lions dinner that night.
Don't do that to me. I'm an old lion. I don't know who they are. They're like, hey, you're on the, and I'm like, who are you? So back to the start, there are no unpaid bills.
No unpaid bills at the moment.
So we can IP this.
Yep.
A motion to indefinitely postpone this.
Move to indefinitely postpone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You were familiar with the IP? Okay. Budget transfers. We have a short list of budget transfers. These are not going to change, right? Justin, I do remember in the spring, there was a couple things that changed between the time we voted on it and the time we got to town meeting. Todd gave me a sort of a changed list at the meeting, so I just want to make sure.
Now it's sort of changed to be a wonderful thing because Jay wanted to do something differently than what had been done before.
Right.
I don't anticipate it being changed, but if there is, obviously we will let you guys know in advance and you could consider it before.
One of the things, the Assessors Department 5-year recertification, you changed that from 50,000 to 51,800.
Yes.
Yeah.
That means the bottom number is now 59,3,899.
889.
889, sorry. Oh, 889, that's what I wrote. I just read it
Yes.
wrong.
So it's 493?
493,889.
Yeah. And we sent this updated one to you guys. Eric definitely has it.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We did get
I was checking emails all day today, so and I was also sending them, so. Can I get an article on, or can I get a motion on Article 2?
I move to approve Article 2 as amended to 493,889.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. No, I'm not a no. I'm just saying no's. There are no no's. Article 3, capital from borrowing, the money, $750,000 for the truck.
Can I bring up just one point of discussion
Sure.
on this for us?
Yep.
I'm probably going to support this. I don't love that there's potentially $500,000 of equipment buried into it and it wasn't broken out with the cost of the truck versus a lot of equipment. But there's an unintended consequence here. Is it going to cost us $750,000? No, but it's going to cost us. And to me, that unintended consequence is overtime. We're not Franklin, we're not Foxborough, we're not Walpole, we're not running 8, 10, 12 firefighters in shift, we're running 4. All 4 get on that truck when there's a call and rent them. High hazard fire alarm is any sort of big building, school, public building, something like this. The rent them outlets, they go there a lot. So every time that fire alarm at the Nike store, wherever goes off, we send 4 people out of town, we're left with nothing.
But we do that now, for high hazards.
No, we don't, no, the high hazards is their ladder truck. They no longer have a ladder truck, we're their ladder truck.
I thought.
No, we go
No,
working-
they keep their,
working-
well, either
working
way,
fire.
the way I heard the question asked and answered was that they respond to all.
The ladder response to high hazards, currently Rentham's ladder will now reside here. So that's the unintended consequence is fire alarm at the Rentham outlets, the Norfolk Rentham ladder truck goes, and we're left with calling back people on overtime to staff the fire station for, I don't know, is it a 4-hour minimum or 2 hour, whatever their callback is, but that's good. $1,000, you amortize it out, it will probably take 10, 15 years, but there will be a point where we've spent more covering our own fire station because the shared resource that we're saving money on is over there. That's just my point. There's been some negative feedback from people I've talked to, fire chiefs in Norfolk County, because it affects all of their mutual aid run cards. If that goes somewhere, that it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow because there's a lot of hidden expense for the savings that.
The grant is saving us, essentially.
But you heard the chief, there is an alternative option. He could get a ladder truck for $1.8 million.
So we'll have to see.
And not have to involve Rentham, but we needed Rentham to be joint on the grant because that looks more favorable, so there's pieces to it that are still, it's a pill to swallow when, if their overtime budget goes up 5-10%, and what's the driving factor? Well, we're doing more automatic mutual aid because we're staffing their ladder truck, in a sense.
I didn't hear it that way. I heard him say there's no change to the protocol. If there's a high alarm situation, they go now. So I guess I'm just struggling with.
They go on a working fire, which is an actual a high hazard fire alarm, just dispatches more apparatus. So Rentham runs 4 on a shift. They send the engine and the ladder with 2 each, not to standard, but that's their ladder is in their town.
Yeah.
That ladder is going to be an unstaffed spare piece of equipment. We're their ladder. So they're sending 4 in their fire engine, we're sending 4 on the shared ladder. So we strip ourselves down to nothing. We can't send 2 and leave 2 here, because that's not safe if there's something going on.
So what you're saying is right now, if there's a situation in Norfolk, our truck can leave and come back, whereas if we're sharing.
No, it can't leave and come back.
They wouldn't.
So there's a medical, you have a problem, you need the ambulance, they have to recall people on overtime to come staff
by
them.
another town.
Or mutual aid.
Right.
So it's tough. There is a back end to this thing.
I do want to get an understanding of this. We're not going to get it now, but I do want to get an understanding of how that works.
I think it will just be tough just because we have a brand new fire station and now we're asking for another almost $1 million.
This,
for
by the way,
next
this
year.
borrowing does not have to go, this is not a ballot borrowing, this is
No,
borrowing.
this is a ban, is
borrowing
within-
Inside our levy.
Like a 10-year
It's within the
bond
operating.
or stuff.
We'd probably do a
We have a-
10-year ban.
We have a cap that we can borrow up to, that basically we could also spend operating up to.
It's potentially a good deal, but there's just,
You're kind of hoping that the grant falls through in Rentham so that we can buy our own truck, aren't you?
I mean, if Rentham fails at a town meeting, he can buy a truck for $1.7, $1.8 million.
Right,
It
right.
just won't be as
Have a
nice.
loan.
It'll be from a manufacturer that, it'll be from Kia instead of Honda, right?
Kia's making a.
Right, it's from a manufacturer that doesn't sell as expensive a piece of equipment.
Right.
But it's just, there are pieces to it. There are pieces, because we hear the struggles of how busy the ambulance is, and, you know, we need the new ambulance because the ambulance is going farther to the hospital. Well, then that thing is not staffed, and now when that call comes in to go to Rentham, we're paying the overtime to staff the ladder truck to go to rent. There's a cost with it. It's not going to be the $750 we save. It will be over 15 or 20 years, but
And this is all stemming from the fact that it's a joint effort.
because we're small fire departments.
Yeah.
We're not starting with 15 people on duty so they can ship the thing off for a call somewhere. There's no impact. We send something out of town here, they've got to pay overtime to cover Norfolk. Rentham comes over here, they got to pay overtime to cover Rentham. So there's a cost. It's not a huge cost, but it's a cost, and it'll be a regular and reoccurring cost. That's my point. I'm leaning towards supporting it, but I just wanted everyone to know in full transparency, I live in this world, so I understand it, and mutual aid's not free. That's it, and we're becoming the provider of mutual aid to save some money on a capital purchase.
Okay.
That's helpful insight. Thank you.
So at some point, it would be nice if the chief could write up for us, so just I
think if advisory asked him to, we'd definitely do it. And
I don't
get
think,
it.
but we can't wait for it, is what I'm saying. He's gone for the night, and we have to do this tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve it as written.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. You want to write it up? Should have been a signing.
I may vote against it at town meeting, but I'll write it up, that's fine.
I forgot to ask for the first two.
I can write up number 2, I know all the capital stuff pretty well,
You're going to write up the budget transfers? Article 2 is,
I'm sorry,
The third,
I can
Article
do
4?
2, 3, and 4, I'm fluent
Right.
in 2, 3, and 4.
they're pretty straightforward. You just
Yeah.
reference what's
Yeah,
on the
it's all
board.
very-
Okay, so we haven't gotten Article 4 yet, but is there anyone, any further questions on Article 4? Can I get a motion?
I move to approve Article 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Article 5 is the planning board thing that we just voted on, so we will move on from that. Article 6.
Who's writing 5?
I will write 5, Rob, unless you want to. Okay, fine.
That's the
That's the
hospital.
the thing-
Okay.
Yeah, we did vote on that, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, okay,
Yep,
all right.
yep.
5-0.
Okay.
Yep.
Article 6 is the Freeman Kennedy schematic design. We had a presentation from the schools on that. Is there any further discussion at this point on that? I do want to say that one of the members who's not here tonight indicated she would have voted against it, Joyce. I think she's concerned about our total debt burden, which this adds to. There are still 2 borrowings related to Freeman Kennedy that aren't paid off for another 8 years. And there will be stuff that comes on. We have the full fire station coming on this year.
I'm concerned that it's not big enough. I've heard before, we're trying to keep it reasonable, we're trying to keep it, I'm spending $1.5 million on a 600 square foot project because 8 years ago, someone tried to keep something small and reasonable.
But you've got a balance there, though, you know?
Oh, I know, but hearing that, was it the pre-K, was that the one that was the issue, that
Yeah.
we're gonna add 2 classrooms, but the wait list will still be X number of people, we're gonna spend this kind of money, Jesus, I'm just saying.
The other thing I was going to mention, there will also be, at some point, in some form, the Volk Tech School.
Yeah, that's
Which we're
coming
going to
down.
have to vote on. We're going to have to pay for.
Yeah, we're going to pay for it. We already voted on it. That hasn't been figured.
So,
My concern here with regards to the preschool expansion, first of all, half of the project is for preschool expansion. I mean, I know they said they're going to free up some additional classrooms due to the fact that they're moving preschool, but with all the new development that's happening in this town and the number of young families moving in here, and the wait list, as Ken said, even with this expansion project, is not going away. I just think that something else needs to be said about that from the superintendent, about how they're going to address that. So I don't know if we can get some more information on that, but I think that that's going to be a real concern for people, unless they can really make the case, like, yes, I've heard it. I've sat through the presentation twice now, and I'm in favor of the expansion, I'll just say. But I do think there's going to be legitimate concerns from the town about that specific issue. So I think something else needs to be said about it.
I think a lot of people will be upset expanding onto a newer building, because I'm facing it myself. Expanding a newer building, why wasn't this done? I mean, obviously, the population changed drastically since, what, 2013?
not drastically, but enough.
Enough.
But the other thing is the preschool issue didn't exist in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ran a couple of half-day programs.
Yeah, it's a new,
It's a whole, but one of the things I would say is that, in fact, when they built the Freeman Kennedy School, there was a recognition that the design would allow for that wing. So there was an understanding that at some point, we would, I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, it occurred after COVID when construction costs went up at a much quicker pace than anyone anticipated. But
I believe we did the same thing with Freeman, with HOD.
yes, you did.
Yeah, we built it one way and then we added on to it.
Well, I think that happened like 4 years after Freeman, or after HOD opened. Though, right?
Yeah.
In the far distant
Didn't last
past,
as long.
they maxed out like almost immediately. And we had to build that all on our own.
It's all a public building. I don't know. None of us do it right. We all make things too small, and then here we sit 5-10 years later. Well, what do we do now? We're going to hear about H all of day in how many years? 5? And it's coming.
It's already come.
It's already
Yeah.
here.
That's what this is about. So,
So, yeah, like I said, I'm in favor of it, but I think it's going to be dicey in this particular item, so we'll see. But if some more context can be added about what
I think,
to do about that
Are
situation.
you referring to the debt specifically, or to the kindergarten, the pre-K piece?
I think it's a shared concern about the fact that we're going to max out
Yeah.
the size much
By the
more.
time this thing is built, right, say, what, 3 years from now, 3-ish, maybe 4 years?
be
By the
this
time it's
easy.
built, is it already obsolete? Like, are we buying a computer now and we're going to unwrap it in 4 years and say, hey, let's see how Windows all
At this
But what
point,
can we
that's
do?
all we
I
have
don't
to
at this
vote.
point. Tell them to ask for more, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Right. Okay. We are joined by a member of the school committee. Madura, if you'd like to specifically address any of the specific questions that have come up, you can if you want. If not, that's fine too. You do have to come on camera if you speak to us, though.
Sure. Give me just a second.
No, that's fine.
No, that's fine. Just making sure I'm in lighting where you can actually see me. I think that every concern that has been raised this evening, every concern that was raised when we made our presentation, I think, was it just 2 weeks ago? These are all the concerns that the building committee grappled with as they were going through the second round of feasibility. Personally, it's everything I've been thinking about for, at this point, I mean, the first time we came before the town with this issue was 2017 at the special town meeting in the fall. And we certainly don't want to overbuild. I think that there was consensus on the building committee that from a space standpoint, this would meet the projected needs of the school. 3 rounds of demography support that. With respect to the preschool element, I don't, speaking as a resident who had one child that walked into preschool with no wait list, and another one that sat on a waiting list for 3 years, and I paid for private preschool and private pre-K during that time. There has been the district reached a tipping point as far as capacity with respect to preschool programming. We will be able to mitigate the wait list with the expansion as it's being proposed. What future growth of that programming will look like and what the needs will be is more challenging to assess and project, because we don't know what different families will want to be doing year over year. Provide what is legally required and also address some of the waitlist issues that the town is having as far as preschool programming is concerned. I think we will be able to mitigate the waitlist to an extent. Whether it will ever get to a point of 0, that's an ambitious goal given the way that the population of the town has been shifting and growing. But who will be only addressing these kind of as a resident from a taxpayer perspective. I won't have any children matriculating through these schools when this is all said and done. I do think that we also tried to balance that out and thread the needle of a fiscally responsible ask, something that's going to meet the long-term needs of the district and provide a long-term solution that will have a better impact from a maintenance cost perspective. It'll provide a better educational environment, with the classroom space that we are able to add for the district, without overburdening a town that is facing significant debt load in the coming years.
I understand everything that you just said, and I like I said, I've sat through, I think, at least maybe 3 or 4 presentations at this point.
I have seen you there. I appreciate your attention.
I just think it's going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, because what they're going to see is a new wing, half of it's preschool, and the other half is dedicated to essentially a new classroom space. So I just think for the presentation to the town, if you could just or ask Ingrid to be crystal clear about how this is going to open up new space, classroom space, and additional space for things like technology and music and all of those things. Because I think when people see it and they see the whole floor is preschool, and they're sitting back and they're like, well, I've been on this preschool waiting list for 3 years, it's a little bit difficult to kind of conceptualize if you haven't, like I have, been reading all the documentation and listening to the presentations.
Medora, a suggestion for the presentation is it might make sense to have a layout of the HOD shown as well.
Yep. I
So
think
you're popping, you can show where the classrooms are opening up and returning to whatever previous years or
100%.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we did receive some good feedback at the first community forum to that effect as well, that we have focused heavily on Freeman, because that
That's
that
where
is
you're
where
building.
the work is going to be done, right? That's where everybody's going to come and see, this is the new wing that we've requested, that we have the ability to design and hopefully eventually construct, right? But I think that it would be very meaningful to show we have some good visuals as far as existing conditions at HOD as well now, that are part of the building website that went live, I think, last week or the end of the week prior to that. And then we'll be able to show more clearly how those will be mitigated and how space will open up there ideally after this is designed and built. So I 100% agree with that feedback and appreciate it.
So, thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
I need a motion on this?
I'll move to approve Article 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Okay, I need someone to write this up.
I'll
Okay.
write it up.
Okay.
You want to?
No, go for it. Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Mike is one of our, we should talk about this, not tonight, but we have a school designees we should talk about. Mike
Okay.
is one of our school monitors. If you want to run the language by him, just to...
Yes, since it's my first one, I would like to.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Article 7 is that land acquisition 1, which was explained to us by Blair, I think, at our first
DPW
meeting.
water purchase.
What?
Yeah.
I did water, right, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Was there a price? I can't remember.
Is there, I don't remember, was there a price tag?
I don't think he gave us a price. did he?
135, but
Okay.
it's probably going to be capped at 150 when you get all the fees and stuff associated with it.
And that would come
135
out,
was the
that would come
appraisal.
out of,
Water retained earnings.
okay, fine.
Yep.
Right, just want to make sure. Motion on this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Article 8, we do not have to vote on. Or-
Who's writing 7?
Oh, who's writing 7? I'll write 7, if no one else wants to.
Okay.
Article 8, are we expecting, have you heard from any committees, Justin?
Energy Committee will do something.
Of course.
What are they doing?
I think just an update.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Article 9 is, this is the assessor's requirement to publish it 5 years annually, since we now actually have it on the website, probably, I think. Can I get a motion on this?
I'm so moved.
Second? Do you have a question on this, Rob? Nope. You seem eager. Okay. I can't tell. I thought you were going to make the motion.
I didn't know if we were going to talk about it.
We can talk about it if you want. You think we should publish it?
Yeah.
Who reads it?
Historians. It's used for market research, things like that. You know, you'll lose the over time granularity of seeing how the
Did
values
you bring
change.
this up when he was here?
I didn't.
before?
I
Okay,
did not.
all right.
But we're also not doing it, right?
I know,
think that was
I
the,
know.
Yeah,
yeah.
they haven't done it since.
I'm
since
being an old man
2017
standing
or
in Fort History's yelling stop.
All right. Thank you. I have a motion,
Also moved, yeah.
and did I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
And Rob is abstaining.
Oh, geez, okay.
All right. Does anyone want to write this one up?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
I've taken on the obscure compliance niche.
We're doing this because no one understands it, and Mike volunteered.
Let's give some bureaucratic stuff to Mike. He loves it.
The one abstention, I got to be sure to capture that.
The Article 10 is the first of 3 changes to the accessory building. I really honestly hope this is the last time we talk about accessory buildings for a couple years, because it seems like we've been doing it
Isn't it coming in the
almost
spring?
every
It's
meeting.
coming up again.
It's coming again.
Accessory,
Well, so
no,
the
accessory
houses-
dwellings and accessory
the
buildings are
ADUs.
2 different things.
Okay, sorry. are different. Sorry.
Accessory buildings are sheds and,
Is this our third or
can live in a
fourth
shed
town meeting
now.
straight?
I think it's our 4th straight.
I hope so as well.
Okay, can I get a motion on Article 10?
I think we already voted
We
on
already
these.
voted on these.
Oh, we did, because those guys were here, you're right, thank you.
We
And
just need to assign writing.
who wants to write these up? Because Article 10, 11, and 12 should be written by the same person.
Please, can I? Please, please.
Yes, all right, Ron. Article 13, I think, did I ask you to do Article 13? And you said yes, or did I not ask you to do Article 13?
Oh,
He volunteered it.
I volunteered.
Oh, okay, all right, so you're taking care of Article 13.
Look, I can argue against something. Argue for something.
I know, you and Jonathan are
very
really good at that. and I
We should
really
volunteer
appreciate it.
Jonathan for something since he's not here.
easily. Yes, we should.
We're almost
We only
down
got
to vertic-
vacation.
You know, Joyce missed the last time we did assignments too, didn't she?
Yeah.
It's a
We call
fairly,
that a
it's a
pattern.
short, if it was the Springtown meeting, we actually went and found stuff for Jonathan to write up. But there's only 15, and I'm gonna write up 3 of them, so. I'll even write up the road articles if you guys feel strongly about it. They're brutally hard to write up. I think I have.
I've done the last few of those, so.
So you've got them all written up, Mike?
I can
You just
do
have to
that.
change the name of the road?
Yeah.
Okay.
14, 15. Well, we haven't
Can I get a
voted on it
motion
yet.
on Article 14, please?
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can I get a motion on Article 15, which is the, what is that? Doyle's End Road.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have, it's unanimous. There will be questions on Toils End Road because it's been this weirdly low-key, controversial road
Like 20 years.
for 20 years. There's a,
I was on the zoning board when we were
there's a,
doing Toils
there's
End
a,
Road.
there's a paper road that goes basically through two houses, and it's like this wide. And it was very controversial like 10 or 15 years ago. Very controversial,
Yeah.
like 10 or 15 years ago. So you don't have to, just be aware
I have to go into it, yeah.
that when someone asks you a question, you flip it to Rich.
The same people don't own it, right?
No.
Okay.
Where is Toils End?
Jack was involved,
Yeah,
right?
not Jack Hathaway.
Right, no.
Wherever that is. I don't know.
The paper road is off of Eric or Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's
one
right.
of those.
I know I've
It's like,
seen it,
it's
but
between two houses and
Yes.
it goes up a slope, a rocky slope like that.
Oh, yes.
Totally unbuildable, but it's
Yes, right
it's
around the
on
corner
the
from me. It's
paper.
a strange. I know exactly where it is.
So we've now taken action on all these. Do we have assignments on all of them, Erica? We do. I'll do the IP at the beginning. I like to start the meeting, and that gives me a chance to start the meeting.
Ken.
2 is
3 and
Ken.
4 me.
I can do 2, Ken. Actually, why don't I do the budget
Whatever.
transfers? Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right, and you do 3 and 4.
I fluently talk the municipal side of government.
Yes.
I do not fluently talk zoning.
So you're gonna do 1 and 2, and you.
I'll do 1 and 2. Yeah. Ken's doing 3, 4. I'll do 5. Thais is doing 6. I'll do 7. 8 is, you're doing this.
810A, right?
8 is the, I'm sorry, I was looking, the bylaw change. Mike's doing that. Planning board is the 3 accessory, that's Rob. And he's also doing the half story. And I'm doing the roads, or Mike's doing the roads. Okay, we're all signed.
During the day, you can't see it.
Okay, we do have minutes. From the-
October 2nd, motion to approve those as written.
Those were sent out?
Yeah.
Okay, I went looking for them tonight, because I know, I saw them the day you sent them.
No, I sent
You
those.
sent them today.
I got those today. I sent them today.
What time?
I don't know.
It was this morning, wasn't it?
It
was earlier.
I won't admit to
and
sending
I
anything
couldn't,
during the workday, but they were sent today.
I couldn't find them.
Lunch, yes. I was on break.
I was having coffee outside. All right. Motion has been made and seconded, I think. Did you second it, Mike?
I did not, but
All
I
right, Mike
do
just
second.
seconded it. All in favor of adopting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, minutes are adopted. Ken, do you need a hand signing them? I went by the clerk's office this morning.
I haven't been out of work before 5 o'clock.
So is there a pending one there?
There's one, the one from last week.
Can you send this one tonight or whatever?
Yeah,
And
I
I'll do
can send
both of
this
them
one.
tomorrow and then,
I can send this one right
Yeah,
now.
all right.
There's one there.
okay. I'll do them tomorrow.
Getting to town hall. is not
Thank you
We're getting to
for
Toils
this.
End.
Erica, you need the write-ups by
This weekend.
Sunday?
Yep, and
Okay.
your letter.
And my letter, I started writing that. I really don't like writing a full letter, but whatever. It's sort of like I'm looking for things to talk, I have stuff to talk about, but it's like a paragraph each, so.
You don't need to overdo it.
I know.
Do we have any more meetings coming up this month?
We do not.
Okay.
So we do not meet again. We will schedule a meeting we probably meet at like 6:30. We don't need an early one. We schedule a meeting for right before town meeting.
Okay.
Where we come in, and if there's anything that outstanding, we hear about it. Usually we just chit chat, and I brought a pizza once, which I might do again.
Oh, he keeps saying this. It never happened.
I lost a bet, which is why I brought the pizza the first time.
7 years ago, there was a pizza.
And then we
When
meet
you
at
were on the Lions the first time?
No. That, I can't believe that. There's 2 guys on the planning board that are also Lions, and I'm like sitting there going, I know that guy. Why do I know that guy? But anyways,
Okay.
I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. We are adjourned. Thank you.
You guys are down